All right, buckle up because I'm about to share my top weight loss tip. Something straight out of the 1970s that folks back then used to stay, like, ridiculously thin with minimal effort. Crazy, right? See, the whole obesity thing in North America really exploded around 1977. Before that, people weren't exactly counting calories or stressing about every bite. Yet they somehow managed to stay slim with barely a sweat. So what was their secret weapon? Well, I grew up in the 80s, and looking back, the food scene wouldn't exactly win any health awards today. My lunchbox was practically a monument to white bread and processed mystery meat sandwiches. A juice box and maybe some cookies rounded out the picture, and guess what? That wasn't some weird anomaly. From first grade all the way to high school, pretty much everyone brought their own lunch. No fancy kale salads, no quinoa bowls, no whole wheat anything, except maybe for a few oddballs. Counting carbs and fats wasn't even a thing, and jazzercise hadn't taken over the world yet. So exercise wasn't exactly a daily ritual either. So by all accounts, you'd think Weight Watchers would have been booming back then, right? Nope, people just weren't overweight. It seemed like everyone stayed slim, no matter what they ate. There weren't any government food pyramids telling you what to put on your plate. Mom made the call, and that was pretty much that. So what gives? Why the lack of love handles in the land of questionable lunches? Here's the key. They didn't constantly chomp down on food. There are two big factors in weight loss: what you eat and how often you eat. And guess what? Those two things are like best friends. Sure, the 70s menu wouldn't win any healthy eating awards today. All that white bread, juice boxes, and cookies. But if you weren't constantly shoveling it in, the damage wasn't so bad. But here's the kicker. Things have definitely changed since then. Not only is the food we eat way more processed these days, but we also seem to be eating it all the time. Okay, so the food we consume these days tends to be way less fresh and natural compared to back in the day. Plus, we grab takeout and eat at restaurants a whole lot more than we used to. Those are definitely things to consider when talking about our diets. But there's another crucial factor: how often we actually eat. Here's the thing. Things have dramatically changed since the groovy 70s. Back then, it was pretty standard to eat 3 square meals a day: breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Snacking wasn't exactly encouraged. Your mom wouldn't have a pantry overflowing with grab-and-go snacks. If you whined about an after-dinner treat, she'd probably say something like, "Honey, you should have filled up more at dinner." There was no late-night fridge raiding, no mindless munching at your desk, and definitely no TV dinners. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That was it. Period. In the 2000s, things took a sharp turn. Suddenly, people were grazing all day long, easily hitting close to 6 meals and snacks. That's a huge difference. Both what we eat and how often we eat are super important. It's not like the quality of food isn't a big deal, but we gotta consider the frequency too. That, my friends, was the secret weapon of the 70s: mindful eating. But how do we translate this into real-life practices? Buckle up, because I've got 3 hacks to help you ditch the constant snacking. Hack number 1, embrace the boring. Here's the deal. If you limit the variety of foods you eat, you'll naturally consume less. Think about it. If you're having the same stuff over and over again, it gets kind of old, right? In my case, with that daily sandwich, I probably wouldn't overdo it because, well, it just wouldn't be that exciting anymore. There are 2 main reasons we eat: hunger and enjoyment. Food is delicious, so it can be both a fuel source and a source of pleasure. If you're constantly having the same things, the pleasure factor starts to fade. No matter how tasty something is, if you have it every single day, it becomes routine. It becomes boring. That means you'll likely stop after you're no longer hungry, not because you just want more. This is often the secret behind restrictive diets. Cutting out entire food groups like meat automatically limits your variety. All right, so let's unpack this variety thing a little more. If you have a diet that's all meat and ditches the veggies, it's gonna get monotonous fast. Same goes for super low carb or low fat plans. Limited variety is kind of built in. That's the secret sauce behind a lot of diets. They simply restrict the types of food you can eat. And guess what? You can totally do this yourself once you understand the power of limiting variety. But here's another important layer. Natural foods tend to have a built-in boredom factor. We can only eat so much plain chicken or broccoli before we're like, ugh, enough already. Processed foods, on the other hand, are like flavor assassins, designed to keep us hooked. They pump them full of MSG, salt, additives, and sugars, which keep things interesting even when our taste buds would normally be begging for a break. Hack number 2, fat fasting. This is a ninja move for folks who battle with constant hunger or cravings. The idea is to strategically incorporate a period of high-fat eating. This helps your body switch into fat-burning mode, which then makes it easier to handle periods of not eating or fasting for longer stretches. After all, your body burns dietary fat or stored body fat. It's the same process. So if you're coming off a sugar and carb overload, think holidays, or dealing with major stress that's fueling hunger and cravings, a strategic fat fasting phase can be a game changer before diving into restricted eating. The key is to keep hunger at bay by only consuming super high fat foods. We're talking no dairy or nuts. Those are easy to overdo. But things like eggs, bacon, salmon, sardines, olive oil, avocado, butter, and leafy greens are all fair game. Teas, coffees, and bone broths are also on the menu. Even if you eat a lot in the first few days, it should gradually taper off, leaving you with better control over those pesky hunger pangs. Okay, last hack coming at you. Exercise might not be the magic bullet for weight loss. The amount of calories you burn during a workout is usually pretty tiny compared to what we shovel into our faces all day long. But exercise is still a total rock star for other reasons, and one of them is its ability to distract you from food. Think about it. When you're out there shooting hoops, kicking a soccer ball, cruising on a bike, or pounding the pavement for a run, are you ever consumed by hunger pangs? Probably not. Why? Because when you're in the zone, giving it your all, think mid-serve in tennis. You're laser-focused on the game. Your muscles are screaming for blood flow, and your body prioritizes delivering that precious oxygenated blood to them. Digestion? Nope, not on the priority list. So exercise is a fantastic tool if you find yourself constantly fixated on food. It gives you something else to focus on. And with all that blood rushing to your hardworking muscles, your stomach gets put on hold. Hunger pangs don't stand a chance. Another bonus of exercise, getting outside into nature. Whether it's a long hike, a scenic bike ride, or a peaceful walk by the river, spending time in nature is a natural stress reliever. Remember, our ancestors dealt with stress by moving their bodies and connecting with the outdoors. So, picking up a new hobby, like a sport or some form of exercise, is a fantastic way to break the cycle of mindless snacking. It gives you something else to focus on, keeps your blood flowing where it needs to be, your muscles, and keeps those hunger pangs at bay. All right, to wrap things up, my golden nugget for staying slim like it's 1970 again, don't constantly chomp on food. It's a tough call in our world, overflowing with temptation. Fast food joints on every corner, even at work. But there are hacks to help you win the battle. Hack number 1, get your body moving. Hack number 2, give fat fasting a try. Hack number 3, embrace the boring, limit the variety of foods you eat, and you'll naturally eat them less often. If you dug this, maybe share it with a friend. You might just help them out. And if you wouldn't mind giving that thumbs up button a friendly tap down below, that would be awesome. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you next week.